The Islamic Egypt, Novelette. It was an expected day. For years, the Islamic symbols prevailed in Egypt. Women wore hijab in all the Egyptian cities. The mosques were very crowded throughout the day. The Islamic TV channels were in every home. The age of marriage decreased in all the Egyptian cities. The Islamic symbols prevailed all over Egypt. The Islamic politicians won the elections throughout Egypt, but they were a new and different generation of the Islamic politicians. Many previous Islamic politicians won their popularity through clash with the West. But the new politicians' project was the Islamic civilization based on the spiritual Islamic principles and the scientific Western civilization. The earlier Islamic civilization respected the scientific Greek, Roman, Persian and Indian civilizations. And these new politicians respected the scientific Western civilization. But they believed that the spiritual Islamic principles are the only way to true happiness and internal peace. They believed that all men and women are the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. They wanted good for all people, and they believed that many Westerners could not be blamed for their attitude towards Islam because many Muslims were themselves lawyers against Islam. The Egyptian Christians knew this new generation very well. They shared in the new government. They had their own courts for their affairs according to their religion. They were not enforced to convert to Islam. They had their religion. They shared in the military service, and accordingly they didn't pay any taxes due to their religion. In the past, non-Muslims paid tax because they didn't share in the military service. But in the past too, when some Christians shared in the military service, they didn't pay this tax. In his first speech, the new president said, "The Islamic civilization is the key word of our policy. We don't want to talk to the world about Islam. But the world should see the Islamic civilization in our country. Chemistry, physics, engineering, computer, electronics, agriculture, etc. are the key words of our civilization. The Islamic spiritual principles will be widely accepted throughout the world when they see our civilization. The Islamic spiritual principles will carry true happiness, internal peace and harmony to all the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve." America and the European countries reacted wisely. They stressed that the new government should respect democracy and human rights. They decided to wait and give the new politicians a chance, despite the fact that some sects of the American and European societies were pushing in the direction of clash with the new politicians. The president had a meeting with the scientists. He said, "You have only 7 months to prove that you are really great scientists. You will get everything you need. But your efforts will be the main factor. I know that 7 months is a short period, but give me something to say to the world. This is the Islamic civilization. You will get everything you need." 2 months passed and the scientists were working very hard, but the good news came from Mona Ibrahim, who discovered a new theory in physics. Mona was a housewife who was graduated from the Faculty of Science. The new scientific policy gave the chance for every researcher to enter all the laboratories in Egypt and do whatever experiments he wants. The news of her theory spread all over the world. Many American and European scientists said that she deserved the Nobel Prize. The cinema was in harmony with the new policies. The science fiction films were the predominant. One film was about a group of Egyptian astronauts who traveled to Mars. Another film was about adventures in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. The Egyptian TV had an interview with the new president. He was asked the following question. The history of clash between the Islamic and the Western worlds is well known. But we see a kind of harmony between Egypt and the West. What can you say? The president said, there was a history of clash between the Islamic and the Western worlds. But our policy is based on the following pillars. 1. The new weapons gave the war one meaning, the destruction of the world and the end of the human history. 2. The Holy Quran says, Allah forbids you not, with regard to those who fight you not for faith nor drive you out of your homes, from dealing kindly and justly with them, for Allah loveth those who are just. Allah only forbids you, with regard to those who fight you for faith, and drive you out of your homes, and support in driving you out, from turning to them. It is such as turn to them, that do wrong. 3. The decision based on these two pillars was to start a new cooperation between Egypt and the West, and the majority of the politicians in America and Europe welcomed our decision. Many agricultural and industrial projects were established. The rapid prosperity and welfare increased the popularity of the new Islamic politicians. Scientific research was the body of the new Islamic civilization, and the Islamic spiritual principles were its spirit. The new enthusiasm was the fuel of this civilization. A new statement was declared in Moscow and Cairo at the same time. Egypt and Russia declared the birth of a new alliance between Russia and Egypt. In an interview with the Russian president, he said, "We have many things in common. The millions of the Russian Muslims are a unifying factor between Russia and Egypt. The scientific research is another unifying factor between us." Syria adopted the new Islamic policy. Algeria and Morocco declared the adoption of the new Islamic policy and the new Islamic civilization. Some American and European politicians were very worried. A secret meeting was held in Paris between the American, European, Japanese and Chinese presidents. After 3 days, the Chinese president said to a TV interviewer, "Every country has the right to choose his own policy." The main trend in the new Islamic civilization's art was the drawing of the natural scenes. The reflection of the human feelings on the natural scene was very obvious. The same scene was painted in different ways by sad, happy, pessimistic or optimistic artists. For the first time in the Egyptian TV, the different paintings were shown nearly every hour between the different programs. The paintings were published widely in the different magazines and newspapers. 2 American newspapers started an attack against the new Islamic politicians. One writer wrote, "They pretend to be moderate, but they are radicals. They want to move the world back to the ages of darkness. We should stand very clearly against the Islamic Egypt." Many Indian politicians were worried about the increasing popularity of the new Islamic politicians among the Indian Muslims. Many African politicians were worried about the enormous number of the African citizens who converted to Islam. They said that the structure of their societies would be changed.